Okay, Chris, can you briefly just talk about your research area, what you're concentrating on in your research, and I guess importantly within the work that we do in the Psychology and Development Research Group, how that connects to your own lived experiences as a former professional football player?
Yeah, so research-wise, I'm looking at identity and personal development in elite youth football. So we are basically interviewing, we've got access to 12 players across 6 different clubs at a range of levels throughout the leagues, second year scholars, and we're looking at their identity and how well equipped they are to cope with what comes next, be that release or signing a professional contract, and then how they then get to the next stage of their career. This is really fueled two things really. One, the massive attrition rate associated with elite youth football. They're all heavily invested in this view that they're going to be footballers, and they have been for quite a number of years. You're allowed to sign at 5 now, 5 or 6, and then we get through to 18. That's a long time thinking about being a footballer. Attrition rate's really high. Not many get through the system. We think more needs to be done to support these young players, regardless of their on-field performance. This is kind of all linked to my own career, obviously. I was a professional for sort of 15 years. I just retired last summer. I'd started playing pretty young and got selected to Littlewood, which is closed now, but at the time was kind of the big one for footballers in this country. At 15 we all went, there was 16 of us selected across the country to go and live in a place called Littlewood, and we were housed there and schooled, and we trained every day, and we played for the national team. And just that fueled the belief that we were all going to be professional footballers, and statistically we are not, all of us, the 16 of us. So that planted the seed, and then going through the next 15 years as a pro, the ups and downs, the challenges. I suffered with a lot of injuries when I was younger, which was really difficult for me to deal with after expecting to be so successful after Liverpool. So all of this is fueling what I'm doing now, really. And although I did play for 15 years, it's the constant ups and downs associated, really. Lower leagues, short-term contracts, not enough money for you to really be secure. Always aware that it's coming to an end at some point, and you're almost on borrowed time a little bit.
I know that we've got some integration from some of the key stakeholders in the professional football industry. Can you just perhaps talk about the novel and unique factors associated with the research?
Firstly, this section of players has not been done before. No one's really had access to this group. 12 players across 6 different clubs is unheard of in the research. People have looked at identity after release. People have not looked really at identity before release, and how that then allows them to deal with the next steps. And kind of personal development is not really touched upon in football specifically. This well-rounded individual is not really talked about in the research from a football perspective. Everything I've read about retirement, as an example, doesn't capture what I've been going through my own retirement. It's too neat and everything's in a box. It's not like that at all, and it's not going to be like that for the young players that we're looking at.
Chris, how important is the research that you're actually doing at this moment in time for the industry? What's the likely impact of research? We've got a lot of buy-in at the moment from kind of key stakeholders, and we're literally writing the kind of interim report to go back to the Premier League. The LFE particularly have been very supportive, League Football Education, and the PFA as well. So it's very important, because I was not well equipped to deal with it at all. It was difficult, a very difficult career.
lots of challenges, and reflecting back, it was, you know, fight after fight, really, quite relentless. So I know what these kids are going to go through, and even if they are successful, how difficult it's going to be for them. And my theory is that instead of being, you know, solely performance focused and only worrying about them on the pitch, we should try to create this well-rounded individual that can cope with a range of, range of issues and tests and challenges like there are in the game. But crucially, we make that elite youth football a positive influence for the rest of their life. At the moment, what we're finding is that it's probably not a positive influence for the majority of them. They struggle with it.
In terms of looking ahead then, the next stage of the research, what does that look like?
Well, the next stage, so we've interviewed all 12 players before decision time. We're then going to interview them after decision time, and just talk to them, you know, how it is for them. And, you know, that's another crucial bit. There's the literature I've found, or the research, is a little bit cold, really. It doesn't really give you it doesn't really give enough insight into how it is in the live world for me, that experience. So we're going back to them after decision time, and we're going to look at, you know, how they're dealing with everything, how well equipped they are to deal with everything, how they feel, what they've just been through equips them to move on at stage 2. And then stage 3, we're kind of playing around with 2 ideas really at the moment. Either we'll follow a number of those 12 across a longer time frame. Longitudinal work's not really been done before. Or we'll get into one specific club, and we'll look to translate what we've found into kind of the fabric of the club. So this personal development becomes key in the club's, you know, unique kind of player development.